Well, it's been a long time since we've been here, hasn't it? You know, in fact, it's been too long, but you know what? I think you guys have waited too long. So let's just dive into things. Alright, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy J Legend here, your captain of Squad X, and I'm here today to give you none other than your weekly prescribed Bleach chapter review. I haven't been doing these on a weekly basis as of late, but I've made videos and you guys are aware of what those reasons are. But nonetheless, we're back to our weekly schedule. So today what I'm going to be reviewing for you is Bleach chapter 637, entitled Baby Hold Your Hand. Very strange chapter name, but nonetheless, let's dive into things, but right after that intro. Alright guys, now this chapter in particular was a pretty interesting chapter in the sense that when Star Knight C, I should say, first revealed himself, Mayuri straight away thought of him to be like, you know, the left hand of the Soul King. And you know, that's the first thing that I thought as well before Mayuri even said that. But then, the reason why I thought that couldn't be the case necessarily is because when and how did Yuha gain basically that connection with the left hand of the Soul King? I know that he's his son, but when did he recruit him into being one of his, one of his Star Knights? And then on top of that, he's only Star Knight. It would only be Star Knight C. You figure that would have been B, like, you know, that would have been like, you know, basically the person he has beside him. But we obviously see that's hashword based on the chapters of beforehand, and basically everything ties in and makes sense. Like, I personally don't think that this is the left hand of the Soul King, even though it resembles it very closely. But this was stated in the chapter, that how the right hand of the Soul King was basically a black silhouette figure of a hand that basically had an eyeball in his hand. Yeah, that had an eyeball roughly in his palm, I should say. And that seems to be mirrored with this one, but it seems to be the left hand. Now, we don't know how many different pieces there are of the Soul King, whether that actually truly is, you know, a left hand of the Soul King just residing somewhere else. Because when we looked at the Soul King inside his crystal casing, one thing we did notice is that he was without limbs. So are his arms and legs scattered about the Soul Society, or in, like, you know, different worlds. Like, maybe are they in the world of living, are they in Wiccamundo? These things we just don't know. But nonetheless, we know that the limbs are separate from the rest of the Soul King that has now been absorbed by Yuha. But one thing I thought was interesting that was mentioned by Ukitake, and which we've seen with Ukitake before he passed away, was that you're able to make, you know, like, different connections with the different parts of the Soul King. So for example, Ukitake made like a bond with the right hand of the Soul King. It kept him alive because he prayed to it. But then maybe a similar thing did happen with, like, this supposed left hand of the Soul King. So maybe this is the left hand of the Soul King. I'm going to go with the fact that it is, because it does make sense that Yuha, being the son of the Soul King, that he could basically make a prayer to its left hand. But then what also confuses me about that was that, is the left hand able to defy the main body? Does that make sense? Because Yuha recruited, let's say, the left hand of the Soul King, even though his name has been revealed to be Parinda. We're just going on the assumption that it was. So we know that it's not. It actually has an official name, but let's go on the assumption that it was. Let's just run with that thought for a minute. If it was, it doesn't make sense that Yuha would be able to recruit the left hand of the Soul King into his army to be able to go and fight against the main body of the Soul King. Does that make sense? Like, how could you come at me with my own body part, with my own power that is essentially me? Do you understand? You could argue the fact that and say that, oh, he's able to do this because Yuha is his son and it has a closer connection to him by that means, but then that's kind of far-fetched and doesn't quite make a lot of sense. So that's why you can kind of disregard the theory that, oh yeah, this is the left hand of the Soul King. If it does turn out to be the left hand of the Soul King in truth, I'll be very shocked and surprised, and this wouldn't be the first time that Kubo has managed to shock me in terms of his work. Now let's dive into the main points of the chapter. It tends to be a while since I did this, alright? Alright. It's been a long time since I've seen these two bad boys, since I've used them as well. Alright, so nonetheless, let's dive into things. Alright, I think one of the main highlights of this chapter is obviously, you know, Parinda, Star Knight C, being revealed. And then what his powers are and basically his appearance. Now, I thought his appearance somewhat fits his, it fits the powers that he has, being the compulsion, being able to distort things. Like, for example, when he distorted Zaraki Kenpachi's arm and twisted it and stuff, it makes sense, because if you look at somebody who has, like, you know, like, basically telekinetic powers, or kind of like a wizard or magician or things of that nature, it makes sense that they would use their hands to twist and manipulate. So the fact that it ends up being a hand makes perfect sense in terms of its appearance and its powers. So I've got to give Kubo credit for that. It's actually genius and something that I personally would never have thought of or predicted. It was actually a surprise to me, and that also ties into why his head was so big. So nonetheless, that was one of the good points about that. One thing I did notice in this chapter here was something that I can't remember her name, but it's Mayuri's lieutenant. For life, I can't remember her name. It's gonna come back to me later on in this chapter review, and when it does, I'll say it. But until then, we'll move on. One thing she said was that basically, you know, she hopes that the captain is going to be like, you know, the same kind of. And I thought that was kind of interesting, is because we all know that Mayuri is twisted and sadistic, but this time he seems even more twisted and sadistic than usual. Yeah, you could argue that that's because, you know, like he's about to examine a specimen that he's never encountered before, one that is basically defying all his logic and reasoning, because he even says within this chapter that, how is it that you're able to communicate with me even though you don't have a, you know, like a mouth to speak? What organs is it that you are using? I don't think it's so much organs. I think it's more or less like he's speaking to the mind, like very using like his compulsory like telekinetic powers to speak to the mind. That's the way I perceive it to be. That's just something that makes sense to me. But then again, this is anime and not all things need to make sense to some degree. So overall, I think this chapter was a good read, and it's a chapter that leaves you asking more questions than it gives you answers. And I think that's good, because what happens is that it entices the reader to want to read on and understand and discover more, which is something that Bleach needs in this particular time, because it hasn't been doing so well in terms of the Shonen Jump ratings, or the ratings in terms of like the world's best anime and manga in general. It's been on the decline, in fact, and there are several reasons for that, but that's a discussion for another video. Nonetheless, what the main points are for this video, for this Bleach review, is one, you know, the supposed left hand of the Soul King, Parinda, being revealed, what's going to happen in the, you know, the battle, because it says at the very the last like panel of the chapter in like a little text box by the editor that Parinda is about to reveal, like, you know, his true power / his true form. So does that mean he's going to reveal like his final holy form? Who knows? Because at the end of the day, he is Star Knight C, so he's tied in with Quincy blood. So that would then make sense. How do you kind of get where I'm going? It would make sense that he would have a final holy form. But then also another thing to kind of rebuttal and kind of just dispute the whole, like, you know, or actually no, it could go with, let's go with what it could go with. This could kind of go with it being the, you know, the left hand of the Soul King, because the Soul King is the one that balances out all the like different beings in the Bleach universe. So that doesn't just include the Shinigami, it includes Quincy, it includes Hollows, and it includes humans. So with all that being said, it does make sense that how, you know, like the left hand of the Soul King might be tied to Quincy's, or the right hand of the Soul King could be tied to a Shinigami, and then like, basically like his lower limbs could be tied to humans / Hollows, and then his main body, which is in the palace, encompasses everything, which is why it makes sense that the main body without the limbs stays in the royal palace and unable to protect itself and defend itself. That makes perfect sense. And that's a theory that I'm going to go with. I'm not normally one to make theories. I'm normally one to be like, you know, very analytical and like, you know, basically pick out the key points and basically hidden messages within chapters. But besides what I've already mentioned, there isn't much else to dive into this chapter. I'm not somebody that's going to like, you know, pick out something and nitpick for the sake of nitpicking. I'm going to pick out what I see, and that's what I do. Anyways, guys, I believe I've rambled on enough. I hope you guys have enjoyed this chapter review by me. If there's anything else you'd like me to point out, let me know, because I'm going to be doing like a question time tomorrow. For my new subscribers who don't know what that is this is your opportunity to write in the comment section any questions that you'd like me to answer regarding like the events of what's happened in this latest chapter. And they could be things like, you know, like even characters that are off panel and what do I think they're up to at this particular time. That's your opportunity to ask me questions regarding that. So stay tuned for question time. That's going to be up in like the next 24 hours. So you guys have 24 hours to post in the comment section below and ask me anything it is that you want to ask me. And I will answer them. I won't be able to answer all of you because there's like 592 of you. That's a lot of you. And I'm only one person. So I'm going to do a select few. I always try to, you know, answer people who I haven't answered before. It just depends who, like, what is the most interesting question at the time, and one that I believe is going to tie into a better discussion. Anyways, guys, like I said, I believe I've rambled on enough. It's your boy J Legend, your captain of Squad X. I hope you guys have a good day, and I hope you guys have enjoyed my chapter review. Thank you for having me back, and you know, it's been a pleasure as always. I'm signing out, and as always, my people, take care and peace. Yeah, before I forget, I'd like you guys to follow my Facebook fan page, Twitter fan page, and add me on Xbox Live. Alright, firstly, I'd like to add me on Xbox Live. My gamer tag would be pop up in annotation right about now, and the reason I'd like you to do that would be simply because we can game it up. You know, you can play me at some fighting games, play me at shooting games, whatever games you like. You know, game it up with your captain, like get to know me a little bit better. Like, you know, I'm a social guy, I talk, and it's cool. At the end of the day, Squad X is a family, and you know, let's treat it as a family. You know, get to know each other a bit more. Anyways, I'd also like you guys to follow my Facebook fan page and Twitter fan page to be more up to date about what's going to be going on with my channel. Like, you know, what videos I plan to have coming up, and basically my schedule. Reason for that is because you guys would never have known unless I'm about to tell you right now, is that I've got a Superman vs Goku rematch discussion video coming up real soon, like in the next like day or two, and I'm going to be recording the content for that today, / planning it, and then distributing it out over the next 2 days, but you guys would never have known that. There are also certain like competitions and like, you know, like events that are going to be happening on my Twitter fan page and my Facebook fan page, which is nearly at 100 likes, by the way. that you guys should follow and be interested in. Like, for example, when I get to 100 likes, I'm gonna be doing a special giveaway. So all things like that, you guys that are just strictly on my YouTube channel would never have known unless I've made a video and come and told you. But it's not all the time I'm gonna be able to make a video, because as you guys know, I'm a very busy person. I just make videos when I can and when I have the time to. But nonetheless, I've kind of rambled on enough. You know, add me on Xbox Live, follow my Facebook fan page, follow my Twitter fan page. Links and annotations are on screen and in the description below. So yeah, that's all I have to say, guys. It's your boy J Legend, aka your captain of Squad X. I'm signing out, and as always, my people, take it easy. Peace.